Hello, my beautiful buds. Welcome back to my channel, Sprouts with Joy. My name is Joy, and if you like to talk about plants, you're in the right place. Things need to change, but we'll get to that. Before we jump into my goals for this year, I do want to do a quick review of my goals from last year because I did make a plant wish list and goals video for 2024, and I just rewatched that video and I was like, oh yeah, I did make those goals, didn't I? Maybe I should have tracked them a little bit better because I kind of forgot about them halfway through the year, if I'm being completely honest. But there were some things that I accomplished. The first goal that I had was generally wanting to curate my collection a bit more. So getting rid of plants, but also really zeroing in on the plants that I had. And I would say I did a medium job at this. I did get rid of a fair amount of plants. I can't remember like how many off the top of my head, but I definitely cleaned house a little bit, got rid of some plants that were not sparking joy anymore. And I did do a lot of like plant makeovers, and I really did try to pay attention to what my plants needed. So I'll give myself, like a B+ on that area, I guess. Am I going to grade myself in every category? I probably shouldn't. That's going to make myself really depressed. I did also set a goal for myself to create like some specific planty spaces. So I wanted to have a space for my moss poles to thrive, which I did do that. I made a space in my bedroom near the beginning of the year. Actually, I did that like pretty quickly. I got a standing grow light, and that's where I've put a lot of my plants that are on moss poles. I mean, not all of them, but quite a few. And I also wanted to make a space specifically for succulents, which I did also do. I don't have a whole lot of succulents, and it's not exclusively for succulents, but I did get like a little shelf situation in this room, and I got a Grove Soltech grow light, which by the way, I do have a discount code in the description box if you are interested in acquiring a Soltech grow light yourself. They are wonderful, and honestly, the few succulents that I do have been thriving under that light, so I did do that. Another goal that I had was to invest in pottery. I think I wanted to like make my plants prettier. I would say in general I kind of did that. I do have fewer plants just sitting around in plastic pots for sure, but again, like pottery can be kind of expensive, so that's going to be sort of a lifelong journey that I'm on. But I did do a little bit of that, and I would like to continue investing in nicer pots for my plants. The tricky part is obviously when your plants get bigger and bigger and bigger, you need to get bigger pots, and I'm sort of in that weird in-between spot right now. And we will talk about that, where some of my plants are honestly just kind of getting too big for the space, and I might need to start them over again, but we'll see. Another goal that I had was to fertilize more consistently and to give my plants a bit more of a boost with plant food. And I think to use TPS billions, like microbes. I'll give myself a C at this. I didn't grade myself at other things, but this was a solid C. So yeah. I feel like I'm being awfully inconsistent. I was maybe more consistent with this towards the beginning of the year than the latter half of the year. And this is something that I would love to continue doing. And we'll, again, kind of talk about my actual goals for 2025 later on. I was a little bit mid in this area. Like at a certain point, I started getting really overwhelmed this year. So I just kind of stopped doing anything extra and was pretty much just keeping my plants alive with a bare minimum of watering them a lot of the time. And then feverishly doing a ton of plant care in one day and then letting them just kind of like chill out and coast for a while. That was a lot of this year. So consistency in fertilizing and all those extra things were not always happening, if that makes sense. But I did do it more than I did the year before. So like, I'll give myself a star for that, okay? I think the last goal from last year, and I'm doing this sort of off the top of my head, so forgive me if I'm missing some things, but I wanted to get better at anthurium and alocasia care. And the first half of the year was great. It was great. The last like 4 months or 5 months, my alocasia have been doing fantastic for the most part. They are like popping off, especially my Alocasia cuprea has made a full comeback turnaround. Like that plant is thriving right now. My Alocasia in general, I feel like I wouldn't say I've cracked the code. I'm never gonna say that because I feel like as soon as I ever say that, my plants turn around and are like, you think you know what you're doing?
You have the audacity to say you know what you're doing?
Well, we're gonna show you. So I'm not gonna say that, but I feel far more comfortable with Alocasia now than I ever have before. as a plant collector. As for anthurium, at the beginning of the year, I mean, they were like pretty much thriving, like they were doing so good. But something happened. I could not tell you what, but they are no longer good. Let's just say that this year we're going to need to address some problems with my anthurium. But that brings us to 2025 plant goals. And before I get into it, I do want to say, in general, 2024, if I could summarize it, it was a lot. It was a lot. I had a lot going on in my personal life, a lot of stuff with work and family and just things to navigate that took a big toll on my mind. And, unfortunately, I think a lot of 2024 was spent on the verge of plant burnout. And you can probably tell, I come across in my videos. I mean, I still adore my plants. I wouldn't trade them for the world. Like, I love them so much. I don't regret having a lot of plants. Like, they make life amazing. I love the environment that they create in my space. Like, they're so good. And honestly, every time I get my hands dirty repotting plants and stuff, I feel like I'm brought back to okay, this is why I have so many plants, But sometimes, there's so many things I'm trying to fit into my life that I love and care about deeply. And so plants, they keep on growing. They keep on needing your care and attention on a cycle. It never ends, And so sometimes I was finding myself falling behind. And even if I got way ahead on a certain category of plant, okay, I got all my moss pulls done and we're good. I turned around and it's oh my gosh, I have so many plants that I would have a whole nother batch of plants that needed to be repotted or needed to had pests to deal with. And honestly, the fact that I wound up with thrips this year, oh my gosh, it just sat me on my butt. I was oh, okay, I feel I'm drowning a little bit because here now I feel I can't address all these other issues and things that I felt I was wanting to address with my plants because I felt I needed to dedicate all of my spare time to attacking the thrips and getting rid of that emergency situation. So I never quite felt fully on top of all of my plant care, which is a little bit crippling. Even with something that you love, if it ever starts to become a burden or something that you just feel you can't ever be fully on top of, that can be really exhausting and it can kind of contribute to a general anxiety and overburdened mind. And I mean, as a mom of 2 young kids and a house to take care of on top of everything else, running this YouTube channel and having a job, it's just sometimes it's a little bit too much. But I am a too much person. I kind of live for the too much. I embrace it. I lean in because I want to live my life to the full. I want to do everything I possibly can. But I also need to protect myself and be aware of the fact that as much as I love all of these things, I love life so much and I have so many things that I adore and want to throw my body at. Sometimes I do need to be more careful with how I spend my energy so that I don't get overwhelmed. And plants are a hobby. I never ever want to get to the place where they are draining me rather than giving me more energy, because hobbies are supposed to give you energy. They're supposed to give you life. They're supposed to invigorate you. And if they're taking away your energy instead, that's not a great place to be in. Sorry, sis, that's not good. So let's just say, if you felt that way in 2024 at all, I honestly feel collectively, the plant community has felt a lot of burnout personally. I mean, that's just sort of what I've observed from other planty creators and people in the comments. I mean, I think I made my plant burnout video this year where I was just sort of word vomiting all of these feelings in the middle of the year. And there were comments and comments and comments, just so many people relating so hard. They were girl, I feel you. You were not alone. And so I'm also saying back to you, if you're listening to this, you are absolutely not alone if you have ever felt that overwhelm when it comes to your plants. And sometimes that might just be a sign that maybe there's maybe too many plants in your collection, or maybe you just need to take a step back and breathe for a minute and not have these super high expectations on yourself. Because I think for me, I was starting to feel those really high expectations on myself, especially, being a plant creator, sharing my plant collection with you all. Sometimes there would be this pressure that I would put on myself where I'm well, if my plants are not all completely thriving, oh my gosh, who am I to be making this planty content? But then I'd have to kind of reel myself back and be okay, this channel from the beginning has never been, oh, I'm going to tell you how to solve all of your plant problems and take care of your plants because I'm coming from a place of authority. No. Guys, I am in this with you guys. Like, this is documenting my planty journey, sharing it with you, and I like to be raw and vulnerable. I like to show you the plants that aren't doing so well because of pests, because I've fallen behind, because for some reason, like, it's just like not working, you know? Like, I want to be completely honest with you guys because I never want any of you to feel bad about your plant collections if, you know, not every single plant is thriving. Because let's be real, when is every single plant thriving? Absolutely, completely thriving. I mean, I'm sure there's some of you out there that like, oh, everything's totally fine with my plant collection, everything's great, but I don't know, man. I feel like there's always at least one or two plants, if not more than that, that are like needing some help. So that's just me. Anyway, I feel like I completely that this was not in the script. This was not what I was planning to talk about. Okay, but yeah, suffice it to say, in summary, I experienced a lot of like almost plant burnout. I wasn't completely burnt out, but like I was getting there. And I think all of that that I just talked about kind of contributed to that. Diving off of that into like the actual like goal or framework I want to set for myself. I don't even know if goal is the right language. It's maybe more just my plans for this year. You know, because some of these are kind of goals, but a lot of them are just, this is my game plan. This is what I want to change about the way that I'm approaching my plants and my plant collection and my journey. So the first thing, and I feel like I've been saying this for a while, but like this year it's for real. I want to focus more on plant care than on acquiring new plants. And so every single year I've made a like plant wish list video. I don't think I'm going to do that this year. And as much as I love making a plant wish list and dreaming about new plants that I want to get, I just can't make that the focus right now. Especially, like, I just cannot imagine adding more plants in my collection right now unless I like get rid of some other plants or make a new planty space, because I'm just, with how much my plants have been growing, I've been struggling with finding optimal spaces for all of them. And it was fine when my plants were smaller, but now that they're all getting so large, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is not working. And obviously, you know, having a lot of individual plants to care for, I only have like so much capacity, and there are other things that I want to do with my life that are not plants, you know? So I want to be able to give like the best care to each individual plant in my collection that I can. And if that's not working, like, I don't know, I just don't really want to think about or consider getting new plants. Now, I will say there are a handful of plants that I definitely think I want to rebuy this year that died. So in a sense, in my mind, maybe it's just girl math, but in my mind, I'm replacing a plant rather than like buying a new plant. I just feel a little bit more comfortable with that. But buying a lot of new plants, I mean, I could see myself, I don't know, I'm waffling so much. I'm not going to go on a strict no buy, because if I find a plant that I really love and really, like, I know exactly where I want to put it, and maybe I might get rid of a plant to get that new plant, okay, fine. But I just don't want getting new plants to be the focus at all this year. Maybe I'll do 1 or 2 hauls this year, but in previous years, I was doing all these plant hauls or like a collective plant haul every month of like, oh, these are all the plants I got this month. That's just not sustainable. It's not sustainable for anyone. And as much as I loved watching those videos and creating those videos, I just don't want that to be the focus of this channel. I think especially since I had that thrips outbreak earlier this year, honestly, just a few months ago, and I'm still kind of dealing with it. Just the overwhelm of dealing with pests in a large plant collection, it just hit me square between the eyes. I mean, I had dealt with pests before, but thrips is like a whole nother level. That has definitely humbled me in regards to how much capacity I feel like I have to take care of my plants. I feel like that sort of flows seamlessly into the next topic, which is just generally being more aware and getting better about all of my maintenance tasks when it comes to plants. So this would include stuff like fertilizing and using the TPS billions and cleaning leaves and stuff like that, but also pest prevention. Pest prevention. I swear. Oh my God. I do want to research beneficials and see if that would be a good fit for my family. Honestly, I'm having a hard time convincing my husband to be on board with them, because he's like,
we're putting bugs in our house on purpose. Like, I don't know about that.
and you know, I can understand that. And I also am a little bit like, I don't know, it's pretty expensive, especially if you have to continue routinely doing that. I'd probably rather be more consistent with cleaning my leaves than do that, as well as, yeah, the TPS billions are supposed to help with boosting your plant's immunity, like against pests. So that's another thing. Using systemic sometimes, I don't want to use it a whole lot, but like in certain circumstances, I don't know. I do want to come up with some sort of a comprehensive pest prevention plan. Whether that includes beneficials or not, I haven't yet decided, but that would be like a big maintenance piece to maintaining my collection and making sure I don't get another thrips outbreak or, you know, some other pest. I mean, I've been plagued by mealies for the longest time and I'm just sick of them. I'm just sick of them just like popping up on certain plants. Not to say that it would be perfect, but I think that would be a nice thing to incorporate more routinely with my plant collection, because I mean, it's not that I haven't done any pest prevention at all, but I have like bioinsecticide and some other arbor plant products I think that I might look into. I'm trying to remember what it was. There's bioinsecticide, but there was another product that I've used in the past, but I have not used consistently that supposedly is good for pest prevention. So I'll have to look into that. Just looking into that, coming up with a comprehensive plan and actually committing to it consistently, because I've done it here and there lackadaisically, but I want to like actually be on top of it if I can. Another thing that I want to do better about maintaining is just my moss poles in general, because that's one of the things I fell behind the most on this year was moss pole maintenance. And I mean, I did a pretty good job at like keeping them watered and they're well rooted into the moss poles, but honestly it's just extending the moss poles and also chopping the plant and restarting them and that sort of thing. That's gonna be a big thing that I will get more into later. But for those maintenance tasks, previously, especially like when it came to watering and, you know, general plant care, I was always so intuitive, and I still definitely gravitate towards being an intuitive waterer and fertilizing things just kind of like whenever, doing all like pest prevention and cleaning leaves. I would just kind of do them when I felt like it, whenever. And, you know, I always just kind of generally knew when my plants needed to be watered, and I wasn't really caught off guard by it because I just had a general sense, right? I didn't really have a whole lot of structure, but I'm finding that my brain is starting to fail me a little bit. I'm just holding too much in my mind, and yeah, I think I need to start writing things down. I hate to say it. I don't always like creating plans and writing things down because I don't know, I like floating through life and remembering things. And I think I'm beyond the point where I can remember things anymore. Somehow I was so on top of it for most of my life, but the last couple of years since having children, maybe it's the sleep deprivation, it's just like made everything go out the window. I probably need to have more outside structure. Like I can't rely on this noggin anymore to remember everything. So if you don't know, Notion is like a website and an app where you can make all sorts of different spreadsheets and to-do lists, and I mean you can use it for a whole lot of things. I just made one last week and I've been gradually making different pages for my different goals, and even I made one for YouTube as well, and like my YouTube video ideas and brainstorming, and you know, I'm having a lot of fun. Hi Alphonse, have you come to join us? Oh, look, he's here. But I'm actually really excited about this Notion account because, I don't know, I'd heard about it like a year or two ago from Becca de la Plants, because I think that she was sponsored by them. This video is not sponsored, by the way. And I remember when I watched that video, I was like, I don't know. I just didn't find it that appealing. I'm finding it very appealing now that I'm actually doing it. So I don't know if I'm going to make a list of all of the plants in my collection and like a way to track like the last time I fertilized them or, you know, repotted them or anything like that. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna go that far, but I do want to have some sort of infrastructure where I can keep track of all of the plant chores that I want to do. And the last time I fertilized, maybe I would do it in sections rather than each individual plant, where it's like, okay, I fertilized all the plants in this room this day, or I used TPS billions this day, or, you know, etc. So I'll look into that as a tool to get better at plant maintenance. But, you know, you can use anything. I'm sure that there's so many apps that you can use, honestly, like even just like the notes on your phone or in a notebook. Like there's lots of different ways to track your plant maintenance and plant chores and stuff. But that's just something that I haven't done a very good job at tracking consistently in any way. But this year, I think that might help to manage my overwhelm that I've been feeling. I think originally I was concerned that it would make me feel more overwhelmed to like have to keep up with it. At this point, I just don't think I can hold things in my brain anymore. It's a sieve. It just, you know, pour things in and it just comes out the bottom. So, yeah, we're resorting to outside infrastructures to help us this year. The next goal, this actually is a really fun one. And so ever since I got my Redsta cabinet, I'm pretty sure I got my greenhouse cabinet in 2023, like April of 2023 or something like that, which is crazy. It's getting kind of close to 2 years of having my greenhouse cabinet. And ever since I got that greenhouse cabinet, I've kind of wanted another one. But I've been struggling, obviously, like financially. It costs a lot of money. I've also been like, well, I don't really know where I would put it. I have a few ideas, but yeah, it would take some convincing of my husband because he's a little bit like, a new greenhouse cabinet would involve, more plants potentially entering the house, and he knows that I've been a little bit overwhelmed. So taking all of that into account, I don't know for sure if I'm gonna like commit to a greenhouse cabinet this year, but I definitely want to start considering it strongly, especially if I can find one secondhand. Oh, that'd be great. And I would love to put my grow lights for it like on the front facing in, and maybe it would be like an anthurium dedicated greenhouse cabinet rather than like having the lights going top down, having them go from the front in so that the plants all like face the front, which, yeah, like I said, would be great, like ideal, dare I say, for anthurium. That's something I'm still thinking about, but I'm gonna put it here in this video just so that it's out there in the world. I think I have been kind of talking about that possibility for a while, but I am very excited by that idea. And that's like, of all these things in this list, I mean, in general, I'm enthusiastic. I am feeling fairly motivated this year about my plant care, but like that's like the thing where I'm like, ooh, goody, more than, because I think previously, like at the beginning of the year, I was always really excited about my plant wish list and what new plants I would get. But I think this year I'm excited about, like let's create another planty space so that I can just distribute my plants more evenly and get better care to the plants that I have already in my collection. My next plant goal, and I sort of started alluding to this already, but it's to solve my plant problems. So I would say that specifically, it's starting to, oh my gosh, is the sun already setting? Oh my gosh, I just felt like the lighting changed so dramatically, but the sun is just starting to like dip down closer to the horizon. So I'm sorry for the lighting change. But anyway, yeah, solving my plant problems. My anthurium in particular needs some help. They've sort of just stalled out in their growth, and I suspect that a lot of them need to be repotted. Some of them I had to take out of the greenhouse cabinet, and since I did that, they have not been doing well. That's another reason why I kind of want to look into getting a dedicated anthurium greenhouse cabinet, just because I just don't have enough space to put all the plants that would need to be in a greenhouse cabinet or would really especially thrive in a greenhouse cabinet. Hi, do you hear him purring? He's so sweet. Anyway, I just don't have enough space for all the plants that would need it. I do want to kind of get to the bottom of what's been going on, because I've been kind of, putting it off, procrastinating, looking into it. And it's not even just procrastinating. I just haven't had enough time to sit down and repot a bunch of plants lately, like especially around the Christmas season. Oh my gosh, we've been so busy. It's been ridiculous trying to find time to keep up with everything. Yeah, I do want to solve some of those plant problems. I think, so anthurium are the biggest one, but I feel like there are a handful of other plants that have not been thriving as much. Like a couple of my Hoya as well have been, they've just sort of stalled out in their growth, and I want to identify what the problem is. Like, is it a pest? Do they just need to be repotted? Do I need to like start them over? Do I need to fertilize them more often? Do I need to change where they are? I did do a lot of plant rearranging, and I noticed that some of my plants didn't really respond super well to that. So do I need to change where they are again? I mean, I don't know. Just troubleshooting some of my plants is a general goal of mine this year. And lastly, I have some specific plants in my collection that I need to completely reset and start over, regretfully for some of them. But I mean, some of them have just gotten so big that I just need to chop them up completely and start them fresh. And they won't be completely from ground zero or anything, but I at least need to kind of propagate them and start them going up a pole again. And I do have some very specific plants I want to do this with. And this is not an exhaustive list because I haven't gone through my entire collection, but off the top of my head, I know I need to do this with Philodendron Splendid because it is far outgrown the pole, and also the leaves haven't sized up the way that I want them to. So, if I chop it up, propagate it, and have a few leaves going up a pole, hopefully that resetting, I mean, would allow it to kind of size up more. Same exact situation with my philodendron painted lady. I think it's beautiful. It's grown really well for me, but I just want to start it over and see if I can get the leaves to size up better, especially if I'm more consistent with watering the moss pole that it's on and that sort of thing, and generally keeping up with moss pole maintenance and extending the pole when it needs to be extended. My philodendron gigas and my philodendron verrucosum both also need to be restarted. I mean, they're actually, like, I think all of these plants are moss pole plants, so that's kind of a common theme among them. I need to chop them up, and like, this is so regretful. Like, I don't want to have to chop up my gigas especially. I just have to, because it's way too big, and I can't add another extension to it, and it's just starting to outgrow the pole. And hopefully, I mean, I trust that the leaves will kind of size up from where they're at. Depending on how much it rooted into the pole and if those roots are still viable, I might be able to kind of like chop it and extend it, like the whole thing all at once, but I just need to look into that. But that's, you know, I do have some very specific plants that I need to completely start over somehow. Another one is my philodendron dark lord and my philodendron mame, and that's for different reasons, because they were ravaged by thrips. So similar, actually, yeah, my monstera albo too, that was also pretty badly damaged by thrips. So I'm considering chopping those plants up as well and trying to start them over. But yeah, it's for a different reason than overgrowing the moss pole or wanting them to size up differently. It's just because of thrips. So yeah. Lots of plants that I need to restart in my collection. But yeah, those are all of kind of my general plant plans for this upcoming year, for 2025. And yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. You know, let me know in the comments down below, like, have you been feeling plant burnout? How are you wanting to tackle it this year? What's your approach to plants this year? Do you have any specific goals or any plants that you feel like you need to reset in your collection? I would love to hear about it. And yeah, if you like this video, please like it. If you want to continue following me on my planty journey, please feel free to subscribe. I hope that you'll have a wonderful and blessed day. Bye-bye.